So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raider Critique. This is your post-game Week 9 review right here on YouTube. Thank you all for being here, man. This was a shit show of a game just like last week, but at least it showed that we can actually improve. But we fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20, making our overall record 2-6, while the Jags improve to 3-6. Now, I got a lot to say about this game because I don't understand why we do what we do, how we can show up in the first half and then fall apart completely in the second half. It dumbfounds me to no end, man. It really does. It dumbfounds me to no end how we can possibly do that. This team looks so good all the time. Then the tale of two halves show up. We'll show up great in the first half. You know what I'm saying? We'll show up in the first half and then we'll just completely fall apart in the second half. This team reminds me a lot of what we were like back when we had dudes like Jason Campbell, Dante Culpepper. You know, it just seems like that we're falling apart at the seams. We'll sit there and we'll get a huge lead, go up by 17 points, and just completely fall apart and lose the game. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. Now, for some reason, I can't get my live chat overlay to work. Maybe it's because it's not over that. Maybe that's the issue that I'm having here. But I do appreciate everybody for showing up in the chat, man. It's been a rough week, especially since I feel like how we're blowing. There we go. I got it to work. How we're blowing 17-point leads is absolutely unacceptable. We were up at one point. What, 20-7? And we squandered that away in the second half. Defense didn't look like it was all there. Offense definitely did not look the same. We weren't doing the same things that we were doing in the first half. It wasn't quick releases. It wasn't, and when we did, we tried to run the same exact play, that same exact swing play out to DEVANTE Adams a second time, and they jumped all over it, man. We could not stop their running back, Etienne. He literally ran all over us. He broke 100 yards, but he wore us down. Our defense was on the field for the majority of the third quarter, but they also gave us plenty of opportunities to get back into this game, and the offense fell apart at that point. DEVANTE Adams dropping passes, Derek Carr overthrowing receivers, underthrowing receivers. I mean, exactly like I've always said, man, it's been the inconsistency of this team. The defense is absolute dog shit. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing anything on defense when it comes in the second half. We have no pass rush unless it comes to Max Crosby. Our secondary is lackluster at best. Dudes like Amik Robertson don't even look like they belong out there. And then our linebackers, besides Denzel Perryman, are underperforming. And it literally is, man. It literally is just the tale of two halves. At one point, you'll see this team play lights out. And then, boom, shit the bed. You know what I'm saying? It just, man. And then you sit there and you look at the defense and you're like, damn, the defense is absolute fucking trash. But they actually gave us a few opportunities to get back in that game. And the offense completely shit the bed as well. Like, these are the prime moments that we're expecting Derek Carr to come and shine through. And he's over here doing everything he possibly can. Hitting the receivers in the damn hands, but also overthrowing, making mistakes, not taking off when he really, literally should, when the receivers aren't getting open. You know, to me, it's just, if we play good offense, we play bad defense. And if we play fucking bad offense, then we play good defense. It's inconsistent. It's completely inconsistent. This team is consistent at being inconsistent. But a lot has done happened already this week after this loss. Everybody sees what happened, you know, and I even posted up on the last video that I did, man, the press conference that had a lot of glaring things to say in between the regime and the players. Davante Adams was calling people out in the locker room. Derek Carr's calling out people in the presser. You know what I mean? They're not naming names, but you can definitely tell that those two are unhappy. They're as unhappy as every single one of us in the Raider Nation, because nobody can fathom how in the hell we are 2-6 with this roster. Some people want to blame the players. Players are ultimately the guys on the field trying to make the plays. Some of us want to blame the coaches. They're the ones who are supposed to pretty much instill their scheme and their design into these players to make them work for the system. You know, we have no idea who it actually is. We always try to call it on one player, like Derek Carr always seems to be the perpetual fall guy. Darren Waller has also taken his share of the criticism for not being out there. You know, I'm wondering who else is next on the chopping block. I know Derek Carr ain't happy, and you could tell through the press conference on how he talked and the look on his face. Maybe this is exactly what he needs to get his act together. Because ultimately, he's got to be the leader of this team. Ultimately, he has to be the leader of this team, whether he wants to or not. That has to be a responsibility that he has to assume on himself because of the position that he plays. And also being the longest tenured Raider on the roster besides Colton Miller. Derek Carr, you are the leader. You need to start acting like it. Now, I will say this. I was happy to see him in the tablet and sitting next to the coach and sitting next to Stidham, looking like they were going over scheme and what the hell what the Jacksonville Jaguars were doing. But ultimately, it was not enough because we fell to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a team that we should have beat. That is a game that we should have won. I'm still fucking pissed about it. On how we lost to that team. Because they're definitely not better than us. But I can tell you this, in between the coaches and in between the players, there is definitely something wrong when it comes to the continuity in between the two sides. The players obviously aren't getting it. Josh McDaniels, you're obviously not delivering it well enough for the players to catch the scheme. Patrick Graham, your shit is too difficult for the defense to understand. There are stupid things that you are doing. Chandler Jones does not need to be in coverage. Max Crosby does not need to be in coverage. These are boneheaded play calls. Boneheaded fucking play calls. How are you going to have Max Crosby on a wide receiver? Ultimately giving up a touchdown. Bonehead, bullshit ass fucking play calls. This was a playoff team a year ago. And I don't care how anybody else feels about that. You'd be like, oh, he's just running off at the mouth. We didn't lose any major pieces. We should be at the top of our game. But everybody knows that when a new regime comes in and they bring all the new stuff with them, the team ultimately suffers because they have to relearn. They literally got to reinvent the wheel. They got to relearn their game now. And they didn't. The coaching staff didn't play them in the preseason, so it's not like they really had the reps except for what they were doing on the practice field. You know, I mean, just and it all boils down to coaching. It all boils down to coaching. And that Jacksonville Jaguars game, I want to forget. I don't want to fucking think about it because it was absolute dog shit. We shouldn't have lost to them, just like I'm trying to forget about the Saints game. But the issue is that these games, the way they were played, how we just literally just took our foot off the gas like we've done damn near every close loss this season. Took our foot off the gas, let the team come back, just like we did with Arizona. And they ultimately end up beating the Raiders in the end. So now we're going up against a Colts team who is 3-5-1. They've got all kinds of issues going on. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the post-game review as well because, and let me go ahead and explain why I'm doing the post-game review as well. My lady critique had to take off for a couple days to go take care of some family emergency business. So, Critique himself is here with all these kids that he's already done put to bed. That's how I'm able to still do this live. And why I was almost late, by the way. But I'm having to take care of them while she's gone on family business. So, and she's going to be gone all the way up until the weekend. So I've got to be on my game when it comes to that. So we're going to go ahead and knock out the post-game and the pre-game in one episode. So we're going to move on to the Colts. And moving on to the Colts, man, I'm going to go over here into the stats of ESPN. Because that's where I kind of like to go when it comes to this, when it comes to looking at pregame. You know, if I'm not playing NFL 2K or Tecmo Super Bowl, I'm on here and just kind of looking at this. We are an 86.1% favorite. Matt Ryan is their leading passer with 2,008 yards. He's 203 of 297 with 9 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Derek Carr is our leading passer with 170 for 273 at 1,880 yards. Now, Jonathan Taylor has 107 carries for 482 yards, I believe that says, with 1 touchdown. Josh Jacobs is 138 carries for 743 yards with 6 touchdowns. And the receiving yards, we also have them beat as well. Their leading receiver is Pittman with 54 receptions for 550 and 1 touchdown. And then we got DEVANTE Adams with 45 receptions, 658 yards, 7 touchdowns. Injury report, they've got a plethora of them, man, and we can actually view the full injury report if we want to. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to look at the full injury report here. That's the Cardinals. See, that's what I hate about this, man. It's like they're like, oh, full injury report. Let's do the whole league. Look, nah, I ain't trying to do all that. So let me back up out of there. Let's go right here. All right, their tight end, Jelani Woods. He's questionable. Tony Brown, cornerback, questionable. Matt Ryan, quarterback, questionable. Jonathan Taylor, running back, questionable. Grant Stewart, linebacker, questionable. The only pieces that we are missing, Divine Diablo went out last game, and now he's on injured reserve. I don't know what his actual injury was. So much news has happened this week. It was hard to keep up with everything, but we have lost Divine Diablo, possibly 4 games, if not for the season. And then Darren Waller comes up again on the injury report as questionable with that hamstring. Now, the Colts are averaging 14.7 points per game, while the Raiders are averaging 22.9 points allowed per game. So the Colts defense is allowing 20.3, and our defense is allowing 25.1. Their total yards, which are the Colts, is 343.6. The Raiders are 354.8. Passing yards for the Colts is 256.9 compared to the Raiders' 244.5. Rushing yards is 86.7 compared to the Raiders' 110.3. Now, yards allowed defensively, the Colts have allowed 322.3 total yards. The Raiders have allowed 380.6 All right, passing yards allowed, the Colts have allowed 207.9 on average, and the Raiders are averaging 264.6. Rushing yards allowed, they're averaging, giving up 114.4, while we're averaging 116.0. Okay, and then as you can see, they suffered 3 L's on November 6th, October 30th, and October 23rd. So they are on a 3-game losing skid. And basically, I think, we're on a 2-game losing skid because we beat the we beat the Texans, and then lost to New Orleans, got pummeled by New Orleans, and then basically lost to a better prepared Jacksonville Jaguars team. So that's basically their pregame. Indianapolis is 3-5-1 in their division, second place, and we are a whopping 2-6, sporting last in the AFC West. So let's go ahead and hop back on over to this. Now that we look at the average there, guys and gals of the Raider Nation, man, this could possibly be a long game because our defense likes to literally give up a shit ton of yards compared to what the Colts have given up. Now, even though Matt Ryan's not playing, I do believe that their backup Ellinger is going to be in the game. That should bode well for us, correct? Well, we shall see. But there's also been other issues going on in that organization where Frank Reich, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, has been fired and replaced with Jeff Saturday, former ESPN analyst and also former player for the Indianapolis Colts back in the day. I believe he played offensive line. Now here's the thing. I don't know when the last time it was that we lost to an interim coach, but I do remember the last time that we had an interim coach and how well that team played for that interim coach in Rich Bisaccia, pretty much launching us into the playoffs. Let's hope, Raider Nation, that this is not the case with the Indianapolis. Check. All right, can everybody hear me now? Is everything good now? Because for some reason it started tripping. Hey, can you guys hear me? Am I good? Am I good? Because Voicemeter just decided that, hey, I didn't want the critique to speak anymore because it sounds like he's bitching. Hey, so all right, good. Thumbs up from everybody. Let me transfer over to the Shield. Well, fucking, I've got technology over here trying to give me the worst show ever. And start highlighting some of y'all's text in here, man. I want to salute out to the chat, bro, because all of y'all, it's just great to have y'all here. We got Robert Pena, JB, Dominis, Farrahan, Raider Ben, salute my brother. Raphael, what's up, my brother? Absolutely. Alfredo, man, it's good to see you. Gord Pedersen. Cool Cab, man, salute. Man, it's good to see all of y'all here. Raider Joe, Carlos. Man, it's good to see all y'all here. And thank you once again for stopping by another episode of the Raider Critique. Now, I hope everybody is enjoying their week. I clean swimming pools for a living, and all these leaves are falling into the damn pools. So I'm going to be honest with you, this week sucks too, just like last week, bro. So, you know, I'm sorry that the program decided to trip. Hey, Raiderette, hey, you are the first woman to come in my live, and for that, I salute you. Thank you for dealing with my foul-mouthed self. I appreciate you for being here. And, you know, thank you so much, because literally I don't ever get any Raiderettes in on my chats or even really commenting on my video and stuff, man. So I appreciate you for being here, for real. But, I mean, in all actuality, everybody, I mean, what I want to talk about is we need to beat this team, because I don't want this season to be over yet. And I'm hearing fire come out of Derek Carr, and I'm hearing absolute clown music coming out of Josh McDaniels. I'm not sold on this coach. A lot of us are blaming the players, and you know, the players ultimately, yes, they do play the game, but coaches coach, and coaches install into their players how to play in their scheme, and I just don't think Josh McDaniels does that. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot of talk when it comes to the offseason. What's going on, Apicasi, man? Thank you for stopping by. There's going to be a lot of offseason talk when this season ends. You know what I'm saying? But I know that we're going to, just like I said after we lost to the Saints, all right? Don't expect us to do anything. Don't expect us to do anything different except for what we've done already. And then I sit there and say that, and guess what happens? The Raiders waived Jonathan Abram, and they did it today. They got rid of him. They said, peace, see you later, bro, you suck. So, basically, the guy who was the star of Hard Knocks, the guy who was running his mouth, the hard-hitting safety that we had who literally couldn't keep himself healthy and was completely reckless throughout the first 3 years of his Raider tenure, he was reckless as shit, man. He was taking out our own players, you know? Well, he's now been released, which means that it looks like that Daron Harmon will be the main guy moving forward. And I kind of understand that. You know what I mean? I kind of understand that. Harmon has played better. You know what I mean? Harmon has definitely played better. And Abram is still, well, he played good at first. You know, he did all right, like, at first. But then he straight up just, like, went out of the game. He was good at certain run stops. He was blowing up the backfield at certain points of the game. But in coverage, he was completely suspect. And he started to get better at the coverage, but then he just reverted back to his old self when this team started going on this losing skid when we fell to 2-6. So, I mean, maybe Jonathan Abram does need a change in scenery to revitalize his career, but I know that right now he is not a Raider. There was a reason why we didn't pick up his fifth-year option. We wanted him to prove it, and obviously from the tail of the tape, from what we can see, Cleve Farrell is still here. Cleve Farrell has been in some games. As a matter of fact, last game, Cleve actually had a really good game, getting his hands in the quarterback's face, redirecting his passes, Trevor Lawrence's passes. So, Jonathan Abram was really expendable. And obviously, there was no way before the trade deadline that anybody was going to drop any draft picks to pick this guy up when they knew that more than likely we were possibly going to release him at the end of the trade deadline. So, there you go. Jonathan Abram is no longer on the team, and I'm sure a lot of you are very happy about that. You know what I'm saying? But now that leaves, you know, where's our depth in the secondary? A secondary that's already hurting. Now, I could care less on whether Jonathan Abram is on this team anymore or not. He obviously didn't cut it. From what this coaching staff obviously saw, he wasn't cutting it. As fans, what we saw, he wasn't cutting it. So ultimately, he was let go. I mean, there's really nothing to say about it except for I salute you, Jonathan Abram, for everything that you did for this franchise and this organization. Love the fire, love the heart. And, you know, if it was up to me, you would probably still be on this team just because I know that we're lacking depth. But you would probably still be on this team. But I wish you luck in your future endeavors. And I will be, you know, I will be all for you for whatever team you play for until you play the Raiders. So, salute to you, Jonathan Abram. Happy trails. So anyway, there you go. Now I'll go ahead and go and hop on over here into the chat. As a matter of fact, I think I see an old foe in here. Yep, I sure do. I see an old foe in here. It's Hefe KC. Well, just like I always say when I see Hefe. Hey, fuck you, Hefe. But it is cool. I'm glad to see that you're here, bro. Thank you for stopping in. You know it's not really fuck you. It's just fuck your team. You know what I'm saying? You guys are doing exactly what everybody said you weren't going to do this year. You're leading the division. On 6, man, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate all y'all for stepping in here, man. But, I mean, for real, man, this Raiders team, unless, I mean, I would like to think that we're going to keep going and that we're actually going to pull ourselves out of this hole. The light is very dim. With this coaching staff and these players not on the same page, the light is very dim, and it doesn't matter regardless on how good our roster is. If our coaches can't motivate and they can't teach, then we are and if they can't get this team to run like a well-oiled engine, it's going to be a long season. What's going on, Raider Gabe, man? Thank you for showing up. And that's real talk. It's going to be a long season. And this right here, types of seasons like this, is what makes Raider fans, what makes us Raider Nation, because we are going to grit our teeth and bear it. At least us real ones are. There are so many of us who have already been down this road so many times before. I didn't leave then. I'm not going to leave now. But if they keep playing like shit, I'm going to still keep bitching about it, because what else am I going to do? Now, and that goes into another thing that I want to go into before I leave out of here. Now, I was on a live earlier in the week, and, you know, we were talking about some things, man, and another dude jumped into the live, and I'm not going to mention any names at all. But you guys already know how the critique is, man. I'm all about unity and uniting the fan base. All right? And that means even uniting the YouTubers as well. You know what I'm saying? Well, this cat happened to come on there, and, you know, after he said what he had to say, and he does say a lot, he had to say that, you know, some of us YouTubers probably shouldn't be podcasters, that we should probably just be fans. And you know who you are. You know, if you're watching this, you know who you are. You know you said it. And, you know, I'm going to finally go ahead and get to say my piece about it, since at least here I can at least speak without being spoken over. Now, the reason why I became a Raiders YouTuber is because they didn't promote anything on mainstream media about the Raiders when I started this. Okay? I also wanted to interact with other Raider fans, since I was stuck in Texas surrounded by Dallas cow patties. Okay? And the only people that I had to meet up with and talk Raider football was my Raider chapter. Okay? There are a lot of cats out here like that. There are a lot of cats out here who literally are fans of this team, who have a Raiders podcasting show. And they like to talk about this, and they like to talk with people because they're out in the middle of nowhere, or they live in a spot where there aren't very many Raider fans. You know, somewhere like Toronto, Canada, maybe? You know, there are people out there who are doing this YouTube thing because they are trying to interact with Raider Nation. Now, whether they should just still be fans and not run a show, that's up to them. Because, see, we live in this great place called America where it's a democracy where you don't have to get your news from one single solitary source. You see what I'm saying? Because when you're speaking about how only certain people should be able to run YouTube channels, is basically like saying that you're cool with communism, because that's basically what communism gives you, is you're going to get what we give you and not what necessarily you earned or what you went out to go achieve yourself. Don't come in here running your damn mouth trying to divide the Raider Nation where it's already at. It's already in shambles. We got YouTubers at each other's throats. We got fans fighting amongst each other online and in person. You know? And the real shit is that you need to help unite the nation. Don't divide us any more than what has already happened to this fan base, and not to mention this team. So don't go out there telling about how fucking people don't need to run YouTube channels. Alright? Because everybody has the right to get out here and say their piece and run a YouTube Raiders channel if they fucking want to. So anyway, that is this episode of the Raider Critique. I hope all of you have enjoyed it. I appreciate every single one of you for stopping in here and letting me vent my piece on this game, on these two games that we just went through. And hey man, let's hope that we come away with a W on Sunday, and that this loss against the Jaguars set a fire up underneath this team's ass to go ahead and beat a Colts team with a second-string quarterback, an injured first-string running back, and an interim coach. So anyway, Raider Nation, and also Hefe, it's Raider Nation for life, baby. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate every single one of you.